Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.
Happening now on Grid Tonight, Alpine Formula One driver Fernando Alonso received a 30-second time penalty after Haas F1 launched a protest following the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. What's the reason behind the penalty, and should it be overturned? Colton Herta signed a long-term deal to stay with Andretti Autosport. Is this move more of a commitment to bringing Andretti his second IndyCar title in the last 10 years, or a deal to keep his F1 dreams alive? Also, Audi will enter F1 in 2026. Which team are they aligning with, and what's their vision for the future? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish, and with me is Joshua Birch, and we certainly encourage everyone to comment in the chat below and ask questions. We see we already have some people in the chat. Got Josh right there saying good morning, or should he say good evening to us in America? I guess it's good morning over there for Joshua Birch over there in the UK. Is definitely good evening. It's after 7 p.m. here. And Josh also seeing Josh T in the comments. I see you also have some other things based on the top story we have for tonight. Holy horses a little bit. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, Joshua Birch is going to take it away with the top story, and we'll be sure to answer your questions that you have in the chat room.
Thanks, Kobe. Yes, and following on from the dramatic race at the Circuit of the Americas on Sunday in Formula One, the most bizarre penalty was applied to car 14 of Fernando Alonso of Alpine that has divided the paddock on what is right and wrong. This all started when Haas F1 launched a double protest to the stewards due to damage both on Alonso's car with a flapping right side mirror caused by dramatic contact he had with Lance Stroll's Aston Martin, and Sergio Perez's Red Bull having damaged the right side of the front wing he sustained on the opening lap after touching the side of Valtteri Bottas. Haas said that even though they complained to the FIA and to the head of technical scrutineering Joe Bauer about both issues, neither of the cars were shown the black and orange flag, that is F1's technical flag, to come into the pits to get the car fixed. This angered them after they'd been called in 3 times this season for similar damage, and they lost track position. After reviewing the Red Bull case, the FIA stewards decided to drop that protest, as I had quoted from the stewards' document for Red Bull. Mr. Bauer explained that after the end plate had fallen off, Red Bull had contacted him and sent him detailed photos of the front wing. Mr. Bauer determined that the car was not in an unsafe condition. However, Haas were successful in their protest against Alonso, who, after the crash with Stroll, fought back to finish an amazing P7. They claimed in the protest document that Mr. Peter Kroller had contacted Race Control to report the issue with car 14 on 2 occasions during the race and was told that the matter was being looked into. But during the race, no black and orange flag was given and no information passed between the FIA and Alpine. Due to this seemingly miscommunication, one of the strangest things happened. The FIA technical delegates, Joe Bauer and Nicholas Tombasi, seemingly retroactively decided that the car was unsafe to continue in the race in the condition it was in. Mr. Bauer even said, and we've highlighted it for you, that a flapping mirror was dangerous and it could come loose and hit another driver, causing injury. Therefore, this was unsafe. Mr. Bauer further stated that a car needs to have 2 mirrors, and that in his opinion, which the stewards accepted as an expert opinion, so like an expert witness in a trial, the car was unsafe to be driving with a mirror missing. Now, the stewards accepted that it was deeply concerning that no call was given to Alpine to fix the issue, especially after Haas had protested twice on the matter. But the matter was far from over. The stewards blamed Alpine for leaving Alonso out in an unsafe manner and issued a 10-second stop-go penalty to be converted to a 30-second time penalty post-race. Now, speaking personally here as well of my own opinion on the matter, the FIA are there to enforce the rules on others and to guide the successful running of events and, most importantly, keep everybody safe. We've already seen this year several times that left to their own devices, the teams will take risks. For example, back in Japan, when everybody started on the intermediates when we needed wet weather tyres. To punish a team after the race on the basis they never called the driver in is wrong and shows that the FIA were not fully focused originally. Now, as you can see as well from that document as well, competitors are reminded that they have the right to appeal certain decisions as well. And in accordance with Article 15 of the FIA International Sporting Code and Chapter 4 of the FIA Judicial and Disciplinary Rules, a video conference has now been decided to be held in Mexico City this Thursday at 6 p.m. Mexican time as well, because Alpine have naturally decided to protest the decision. We will be bringing you all the news on that later in the week. And coming to you, Kobe, as well, should Alonso's penalty be overturned?
To be honest, Josh, I don't know if this is the unpopular opinion or the popular opinion, but I'm going to say I think his penalty should be overturned. And I'm going to start off by reading a statement from Alpine right here. They said that BWT, Alpine F1 team, is disappointed to receive a post-race time penalty for car number 14 from today's United States Grand Prix, which unfortunately means Fernando moves to outside the points-paying positions. The team acted fairly in deeming the car remains structurally safe as a result of Fernando's incident with Lance Stroll on lap 22 of the race, with the right side rearview mirror detaching from the chassis as a result of accident damage caused by Stroll. And after after I'm reading that statement from Alpine and considering Alonso's race, it was very surprising to me. You know, after Alonso's 2 front wheels are up in the air and he's able to finish 7th place in the points, that was a remarkable drive by Fernando Alonso. And I was actually caught off guard by the penalty there. We're very lucky that, you know, obviously nothing flew off Alonso's car and injured another driver. I feel like if that would have happened, then a penalty would have been more justified. But in this case, Alonso was able to drive around with the damaged car, finishing the points. Thought it was a really good day for him until they decided to penalize him 30-second time penalty. I don't remember the last time I've seen a driver get a time penalty that significant and ended up ruining his United States Grand Prix. And thinking about F1's image, when some people think about Formula One, they think that sometimes they over officiate. And I'm gonna bring an example of basketball. When it gets playoff times, a lot of fans want to see in the NBA playoffs all the way up to the NBA finals. They don't want to see foul call after foul call. They just want to see the guys go out there, you know, just play and just get after it out there, because that's what those basketball fans really want to see. You know, I think less officiating would be much better, because I think sometimes Formula One has way too many of these incidents happening where they're just over officiating. And in this case, I really think that they went a little too far with the Fernando Alonso penalty.
Absolutely agree with you. I really hope that we get to see a change in that race result on Thursday. We'll bring you all the latest news when we have it. And Josh has got some questions for us as well. Why did the FIA give Alonso a 30-second penalty, one of the highest, if not the highest penalty they can give, when it was the FIA's fault for not displaying the meatball flag? It's literally because all that document says as well is because the Alpine decided that the car was safe enough to continue. The FIA didn't notice it because of everything that was going on in the race, and retroactively have said, no, that wasn't right, even though the car passed scrutineering. We had these announcements come in 20 minutes after the final classifications were actually published. So this protest came after everything. And it says in the documents as well that I think Red Bulls came in about 11 minutes after and Alpines came in 34 minutes after the cutoff time. But the FIA opened it up anyway. So Alpine have a very, very strong case here to get everything back open and get them the race back results for Alonso. Josh also says they should have used the meatball flag multiple times on Sunday, but nope, they would rather blame it on other teams as driver. As usual, they can't take blame for their own mistakes. Completely agree with you there, Josh, as always. And literally, the FIA just seem to be off the ball at the moment recently as well. And after what we saw in Japan and now here in America, that's 2 races running, arguably 3 if you count Singapore, is not doing great. Josh also said the front wing was unsafe, should have been a black and orange flag. And then when it flew off, which could have been very dangerous. That is part of Alpine's counter protest as well, is the fact that Perez's car had more damage and that flew off and he hasn't got a penalty. And also George Russell had a front wing damage as well during the race and was never called in. So you were commentating on the race with me, Josh, as well, and Nick Herwood was joining me as well for that one. We all know, and hopefully everyone who was watching and listening in as well, knows that there's a problem with the FIA there. So it's a very, very bizarre and controversial thing that Haas have done, and Alpine have rightly appealed it as well. Oh boy, the amount of times I've read the time rule limit out on your stream. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable as well. We'll bring you all the latest news when we have it, of course. Now, moving on to our second story of the night. Andretti Autosport have announced that they've re-signed Colton Herta and Gamebridge to a long-term contract extension, which keeps them in the NTT IndyCar Series throughout 2027. That is unbelievable as well. A long, long contract. And of course, with Alexander Rossi departing the team, Herta becomes the longest tenured Andretti driver. Of course, Carl Kirkwood reunites with Andretti to replace Rossi as Romain Grosjean and Devlin Di Francesco entered their second year with the organisation. And since the reunification of open wheel racing in North America in 2008, drivers from Team Penske and Chip Ganassi Racing have won the IndyCar Championship every year, except for 2012 when Ryan Hunter-Reay brought home Andretti's last title. The graphic here, courtesy of Andretti Autosport. Kirby, given the dominance of Penske and Ganassi, do you see Andretti giving Herta the best shot of becoming an IndyCar champion?
And before I answer your question, Josh, I have another question. I have another comment in the chat room from Josh Plays saying that Colton Herta is going to stay to get enough super license points, then join F1 with Andretti. And just like Tom, if I get it right, Josh, you eat your hat. And if I get it wrong, I eat my hat.
Has he been reading our script as well?
Josh, are you spying on us somewhere? Yeah, because you're literally following our script almost by verbatim. But getting back to the question you asked, it was just so amazing. I was looking at the stats when putting together tonight's show, and to see Penske, Ganassi winning all of those championships since the split ended at the beginning of 2008, it was really mind blowing. You're just seeing it like on paper that Ganassi, Penske, those are literally the only two teams that have won the championship since 2008, minus that 1 year with Ryan Hunter-Reay. So to answer the question, looking at the dominance of Penske and Ganassi, do I think Andretti will give Herta the best shot at becoming champion? Look at those stats, and you can say absolutely not. If Colton Herta wanted to have the chance to really win the IndyCar championship, he really should have gone to a place like Team Penske or Ganassi. You know, Will Power's not getting any younger. That there's definitely going to be an open at Team Penske in the future there. And then looking on that over at the Ganassi side, they're going to be looking for the person who's going to be the successor of Scott Dixon in that number 9 Honda. So that's going to be one open as well. And also Alex Palou, he's expected to go to Arrow McLaren SP in IndyCar in 2024. So they're going to be looking for a new driver for the number 10 Honda. So that there were certainly options there for Colton Herta, but Andretti Autosport, they've really been struggling a lot in recent years. I know whenever we talk about the NTT IndyCar series, we're always talking about the big three: Penske, Ganassi, and Andretti. But Penske and Ganassi have still been on that top tier, but I think Andretti has lost just a little bit of their mojo, and it seems like that over the offseason they're going to try to, I guess, reload, retool, and try to get back after it and see if they can try to bring home another NTT IndyCar Series championship. Hard to believe it's been 10 years since Andretti Autosport's been an IndyCar champion, but if anybody can get the job done for Andretti, I think out of their current driver, I think Colton Herta stands the best chance of becoming an IndyCar champion.
I remember that race in 2012 as well, last race of the season, and it was on in the middle of the night here in the UK, I believe. Watched it and enjoyed every single second of it. Now, taking a closer look at Herta's new long-term deal, staying with Andretti throughout until 2027. It doesn't just show his commitment to IndyCar, but Andretti in particular. With F1 opportunities seemingly dried up for now, Herta gets to focus on IndyCar for now, but there are still some possibility of flexibility down the road. Michael Andretti is still determined to find a way to get onto the F1 grid despite many obstacles in his way at the moment. Given the length of Herta's contract, it leaves one to suggest if Herta is betting his new deal will eventually take him to F1 with Andretti. Kobe, do you think Herta staying this long is more about the possibility of eventually making the move to F1 with Andretti rather than turning the organization back into an IndyCar championship contender?
And we actually have a comment in the chat room from our own Ben Snyder that actually brings us into this question right here. Ben's asking, doesn't Herta essentially have to win the 2023 championship to qualify for a super license, since most of his points are about to expire?
I think he does, doesn't he? Thinking about it, because his points came in 2020 and they're only valid for 3 seasons. So that's 2021, 2022. And half of 2023. So, yeah, I think he's up for it, isn't he? So he does have to practically do it all again. And linking Ben's question, my answer to your question, is that sort of going to make him want to do IndyCar championship contender more with a long shot in Formula One?
Yeah, when you look at the deal that runs all the way through 2027, even if he doesn't win the championship next year, if you finish in the top 3, keep finishing the top 3 in the championship year after year. He's gonna have those super license points to be able to be eligible to race in Formula One, and I think Andretti is certainly going to be given everything they got in 2023 to make sure that they're putting Colton Herta in the best position to go out there and win the championship, because, like you said, Michael Andretti, he's determined to find a way on the grid. It seems like you really have to buy your way onto the grid within an existing contender in order to try to get into Formula One. And when we talk about Audi in a little bit, I'll talk a little bit more about that. I have some more comments going to go through right here. Josh Blaze says that Colton Herta will be champion one year. I totally agree with that if he doesn't go to Formula One first. I think Herta is definitely going to be an NTT IndyCar Series champion at some point in his open wheel career. And Ben Snyder also says Alexander Rossi made a couple of runs at the title in 2018, 2019, but there's no doubt Penske or Ganassi would give him a better shot given how the last couple of years have gone. And I'm wondering how Rossi's prospects are going to be next year with Aaron McLaren SP, if they're going to be able to give him a proper run for the championship. And Adam Limmery says that Audi to F1 in 2026, that's going to be awesome. Totally agree. And also says bring back the German Grand Prix. Absolutely want to see the German Grand Prix come back, whether it's at Hockenheim or Nürburgring. I really enjoy both circuits. But we have a really active chat room tonight. More from Josh Blaze and Colton Herta until 27, so they can start off 23 and keep building their car, get more experience. 4 seasons added to what Herta has done in IndyCar. This will be really, really good for Herta. And another comment from Ben saying, to clarify, you mean the 2023 championship for a 2024 super license? He could certainly accumulate enough over a 3-year period as well. Yes, very true, Ben. And all of your comments basically answered the question that Josh asked. I think that this is really more about Colton Herta, trying to work up to those super license points, stand with Andretti, because that long-term contract offers flexibility for him to eventually move to Formula One with Andretti Global. If they're able to get on the grid right now, it seems like Andretti Global as an 11th entry, probably not going to happen. It doesn't look good right now, but it seems like their only real legitimate hope is buying an existing team on the Formula One grid and making that Andretti.
Yeah, and there's been rumors about Porsche flying around as well, but we'll get onto that in our next story, which is our hot topic for tonight as well, as we've already linked in with what Adam was saying as well. The worst kept secret on the F1 paddock is that Audi Sport is linking up with the Sauber F1 entry, currently under Alfa Romeo branding, for the 2026 season and beyond. In a press release issued this morning, Audi stated that they have selected Sauber as strategic partner, along with purchasing establishing a stake in the main Sauber company, securing its future in F1 after the departure of current title partner Alfa Romeo at the end of the 2023 season. Oliver Hoffmann, who's a member of the board for technical development at Audi AG, said, "We are delighted to have gained such an experienced and competent partner as well for our ambitious F1 project. We already know the Sauber Group, with its state-of-the-art facility and experienced team from previous collaborations as well, are convinced that together we will form a strong team." Further down, and that was said, press release as well, Finn Rausing, who's chairman of Sauber Holdings, said, "Audi is the best partner for Sauber Group. It is clear that both companies share the same values and vision. We are looking forward to achieving our common goals with a strong and successful partnership." The press release also stated that work has already begun on the 2026 regulations, along, surprisingly, with a test car they intend to develop for 2025, a process that was also taken by Toyota in 2001, ahead of its entrance into the sport the following year. Got my Japanese cars mixed up there. Kobe, coming back to you, with what we have seen from Sauber over the years, many say the best time was under BMW. Now that Audi is behind them, are we going to see the team bounce back and challenge for the top three for victories, or will the process take time like with Honda?
Well, Josh, given how hard it is to win in Formula One nowadays, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that the Audi Sauber effort is going to go out and start contending right away. I think it's going to be just like Honda. You know, it's going to take some time, and as you can see right there, graphic courtesy of Audi Sport. That's a little generic rendering they put together of what an Audi F1 car would look like, really like those Audi colors. And I find it very interesting that they're going to build a test car for 2025 before entering the sport in 2026. That's something you really don't see often, and it just really shows you that the Audi's serious about this F1 effort. For goodness sake, they gutted their sports car program in order to focus on Formula One, which was many shame for the sports car racing community. Audi was originally planning to build an LMDH prototype, but unfortunately they decided to cancel it in order to focus on Formula One. You know, put all their resources in this project to do it right. I totally understand that. And as you see, Audi's program on the GT customer racing side, have lost several factory drivers as well. I know Rene Rast, departed Audi. That was one of their most successful drivers in GT racing. And overall, I think that this is going to be really great for Sauber, aligning forces with Audi, and it'll be interesting to see how this partnership is able to develop over time. And right here, have a comment from Adam Limmeries asking, who do you guys think will race in Audi F1 in 2026? Well, Adam, I'm not exactly sure yet. 2026 is a long time away, but I will say that there's a certain German driver who's on the grid right now who would be a wonderful fit, in my opinion, with a German manufacturer, and that driver is Mick Schumacher. I think he would be the perfect Audi driver in Formula One.
It has been rumored a lot over the season as well. In fact, many people saying that Mick may sit out 2023 and then replace either Bottas or Zhou at Sauber. It will be Sauber by then in 2024, with an eye on then leading the team, getting it ready for Audi in 2026, basically just trying to get it as fit as possible and sort of match ready for when we actually go for it. So I think I could see Mick becoming a third driver at Alfa Romeo next year, and then Alfa Romeo leave, all the pressure about who they want to be their drivers leave, and then Sauber take back over for 2 seasons. Then I think we'll see Mick in a seat as well. Who's going to be alongside him? I've got no idea. It'd be foolish, I think, to get rid of Valtteri Bottas.
And Josh, I'm glad you bring up Bottas. Mick Schumacher replaced Bottas in 2024. It makes a lot of sense, as a lot of people have seen in the media this week. Valtteri Bottas has been flirting with the NTT IndyCar series a little bit, talking about how nice the racing would be over here, how he really likes the U.S. and the environment. And then there was a tweet sent out by Chip Ganassi today. Chip Ganassi noticed the comments from Valtteri Bottas, and he tweeted, "Give me his number." So Chip Ganassi is looking for a driver to replace Palou in 2024 and a number 10. So I guess we'll see where that goes. So
It's Bottas then. It's Bottas going, Mick in. I'll look into that over this weekend then in Mexico. That's going to be fantastic. And just quickly then as well, following Audi's vision as well of what we've been talking about, and they're coming into the sport, a lot of talk this year about Porsche. Do you think this changes anything on where they stand on entering the sport as well? Because Audi, sort of a joint company with Porsche under Volkswagen. Are we going to see anything from Porsche?
Well, Josh, I really think Porsche may be looking into Formula One still. It was unfortunate that the deal with Red Bull fell apart completely, but we've been hearing some interesting rumors floating around in recent days that Porsche may actually be forming a partnership with the Williams Formula One team. We don't have many details about that, just basically rumors that are swirling right now. But I think that would be fantastic for Williams if they were able to get a Porsche deal done, and that would also probably be frustrating for someone like Michael Andretti Autosport, because in Formula E next season, Andretti's going to be using the Porsche powertrains. And a lot of people thought, since Michael Andretti may not be able to get Andretti Global on the F1 grid as an 11th entry, maybe partnering with a manufacturer like Porsche could be the reason to justify getting Andretti on the grid. And it would make sense considering Andretti's relationship that they're going to be having with Porsche in Formula E. But overall, I have a feeling that we're going to see Porsche in Formula One some way, somehow, whether it's partnering with an existing team or whether we see someone like Andretti Global bring them to the table.
Yeah, my uncle actually brought a Porsche a couple of years ago as like a retirement present for himself as well. It's not a big flashy 911 or anything like that. It's a 4x4 Porsche, but he gets a magazine as well, and he gave it to me last time he came down. And in that magazine, there is a lot about racing. So it's a big part of Porsche's ambitions. It's a big part of Porsche's USP. And at the moment, it's only in one category. Yeah, it's got to go somewhere else. Josh says, we saw suggestions to this. I sent you, Josh, around a month ago. Jobs for engineers in Germany under the name Audi AG. It included the Formula One IC engineer, development for engine mechanics, F1 and more. You did. I remember that as well. It appeared on LinkedIn and Google as well. So absolutely. Bottas IndyCar. Yes, please, says Josh as well. See, Josh is on the ball as a pit reporter. He's always on it. Porsche Andretti is most likely, in my opinion. Could be, but then again, who's stopping Porsche having a factory team and then a customer team? That could happen. Williams could be a development team for a year or two. Anyway, time to move on from tonight's story as well, and as the weekly tradition as well. Here's Matt White from Grid History.
Hi everyone, Matt White here. It's that time of the week once again when we bring you up to speed with what's been happening in the Grid Endurance Performance Index, our grid ranking for the sports car and GT racing world. Getting towards crunch time in the end of the season. We only had a couple of events going on this weekend, and one of those races ended up getting cancelled. That was the second race at the Bend this weekend for the GT World Challenge Australia Championship. Second race going away because of weather, but the first race did happen on Saturday, and Triple Eight got the victory, courtesy of Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim and Brock Feeney aboard that car this weekend. That's been piloted by Shane Van Gisbergen throughout the season so far, but Brock getting a win there with the Prince in the first of the two races, and the second one getting cancelled over the weekend down at the Bend. Back in Europe, and it was all about Germany this weekend. We had as I said last week, the final round of the Nürburgring Langstrecke series. We've actually got one more to come in 2 weeks, which got cancelled from April because of weather. So we've actually got one more race to go in 2 weeks' time. This week's race was won by Audi. Again, Kubik Imasiak getting his second win on the spin, and Kelvin van der Linde, his partner this weekend. So a victory for both of those bumps them up the points table. And we had the final round of the ADAC GT Masters at Hockenheim, 2 races. The first one won by Christian Engelhardt and Archie Gouvan, which secured them second in the points championship, behind Raffaele Marciello, who leads our grid EPI. He got a 5th place on Saturday, but didn't finish the race on Sunday. It was still enough for him to clinch the championship. That race was won by Fabian Schiller and Jules Gounon. So Gounon, second in our points, actually nibbles away at the lead of Marciello a little bit with his win at the weekend. It's now less than 100 points between those two at the top of the standings, with Danny Juncadeo, who was partnering Marciello at the weekend, bumping himself up slightly. He is now in 5th position. Still, he changes in points but not in position. Bit of a quiet weekend this weekend coming up. We've actually only got one event to score through, and it's a new one. It's the FIA Motorsport Games at the weekend at Paul Ricard. We've got single-seaters, GTs, drifting, esports, all manner of things going on down at Paul Ricard this weekend. And we've got 3 GT races, 2 sprint and 1 endurance race across the weekend. So we'll be adding those scores on. The grid, the entry list has been announced today. Daniel Candela is actually one of the drivers in the entry list for that race those races over the weekend. So chance for you Candela to jump up from 5th at the weekend. So we'll bring you the results from that on next weekend's EPI update and get you ready for the weekend after, where we will have the final race from Super GT and that final race, as I mentioned, for the NLS season. Couple more races to go, couple of weeks to go. Can anybody catch Marcello? It's looking pretty unlikely. He's already won 2 championships this season. Can he add a Grid EPI trophy to his cabinet?
Thanks, Matt. Next, more motorsports news from around the world. This year's runner-up in the ARCA Menard Series, Daniel Dye, will be taking the next step in his racing career. Dye will continue with GMS racing, but stepping up to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series full-time in 2023, driving a number 43 Chevrolet Silverado. No word on the future of current GMS truck drivers, Grant Enfinger and Jack Wood, but we'll know more about the rest of our 2023 truck program at a later date. The graph you see on the screen, courtesy of GMS Racing. Shank Racing is bringing back a pair of familiar faces for its 2023 IMSA Acura GTP driver lineup. A part of their Rolex 24 Daytona winning driver lineup from earlier this year, their 2 NTT IndyCar Series drivers from MSR will join full season IMSA driver Tom Blomqvist to defend their crown in 2023. And those drivers are Elio Castroneves. He'll be in the car for all the endurance events again, the long distance races, while Simon Pagano will be the 4th driver in the new Acura prototype for the Rolex 24. Blomqvist is co-driver from their 2022 DPI championship winning season. Oliver Jarvis is not expected to return to Shank Racing to defend their IMSA prototype title, but Blomqvist and Jarvis will stay together in an LMP2 car in 2023, fielded by United Autosport in the FIA World Endurance Championship. The 2 graphics you saw, courtesy of Shank Racing. And NASCAR Hall of Famer Tony Stewart is adding another discipline of motorsports to his accomplished resume, and that is drag racing. Stewart will make his debut at the NHRA Nevada Nationals at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He'll be getting behind the wheel of a top alcohol dragster this weekend, driving for McPhillips Racing in the NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series. Smoke will be sponsored by longtime backer Mobile One for his first NHRA start. Earlier this year, his team Tony Stewart Racing entered NHRA competition, fielding a top-field dragster for his wife Leah Pruitt on a funny car for Matt Hagan. The photo you see right there, courtesy of NHRA. And before we close our show, Josh, we're gonna play everyone's favorite game, pick a winner. One of the crown jewel weekends for the Repco Supercars Championship. It's the Gold Coast 500 at Surfers Paradise. Oh, we love iconic Surfers Paradise. The wonderful views that track brings. I have a feeling this is going to be an easy pick a winner. So, Josh, who you have winning race 1?
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yep. That's what I'm going.
Take it.
Shane Van Gisbergen. Let's get us some easy points to close out the season. Yeah, I think SVG is going to get it done in race 1. And all of viewers watching, who do you think is going to win the first race of the Gold Coast 500 weekend? This is always such an iconic weekend. Then we have Adelaide to close out the season, just perfect. The 3 most iconic races on the Supercars calendar, back to back. Bathurst, Gold Coast, and Adelaide. Gotta love it.
I'm actually going to have to look up the current grid at the moment as well, because I can't remember who I'm on about. It's not Shane Van Gisbergen, surprisingly, as well, even though he's dominated this season, last season, season before that as well. I'm trying to remember as well, because it's not Coulthard I'm thinking of, but it was the driver he drove alongside with at Bathurst. If you can remember, Kobe, you're a better rememberer than me.
Yeah. What year was this?
Last season, I think, as well. I'll have a look. But I'll get back to you on that one, but I think we're going to see a domination of Shane Van Gisbergen. I'll remember it, and then I'll text it out on Twitter as well, because the name's gone out of my head. But come on, Surface Paradise, one of the best circuits ever, in my opinion. Beautiful views. IndyCar was legendary there. I don't know why we ever left. I mean, I had this discussion with Adam in Formula One commentary a couple of days ago. I don't know why we ever left IndyCar. It's fantastic, this place. So yeah, let's go I'll go SVG all the time. Go on.
Yeah, and I think you could certainly justify bringing IndyCar back to Surface Paradise. Look who's developed into one of the big stars in the IndyCar series right now, Scott McLaughlin. You still have Will Power, and from down you have the Aussies and the Kiwis in the series. So you might as well bring them back. Maybe have it replace St. Peter's the first race of the season, race there earlier in the year. It'd be really hard to do it this late in the year, try to do a Supercars IndyCar doubleheader. But I think the Gold Coast could definitely host two different races 2 times per year.
I have remembered. It's not anyone who drove with Fabian Coulthard. It's because his last name is Davidson, which is the same as Anthony Davidson. So I've linked them in commentary partners together. Fabian Coulthard, David Coulthard, Will Davidson, Anthony Davidson. So I'm going Will Davidson to win the next race on the calendar as well, the 500s. So sorry, my fault there.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait until the Saturday show to make my pick for race 2. Yeah, looking forward to closing out the Supercars season on a strong note. And Shane Van Gisbergen have one hand on the championship, basically one hand and 4 fingers on the other hand. Just needs to get the thumb on there to get it all sealed up. But he's basically the championship elect at this point, unless something unbelievably catastrophic happens in the next 2 race weekends, which is extremely unlikely.
I love Pick a Winner. It's always a favourite because we all just get to play a big game and it's brilliant. It's literally mystery guest. Okay, taking a look at our schedule then for the remainder of the week. Friday, we have Women in Motorsports as well. A very good show coming up then as well. Don't miss it. Saturday, Grid Live pre-race. That'll be at noon Eastern as well. We've got NASCAR, Formula One, and of course Supercars on that weekend. No MotoGP until next. Sunday, we'll have the Grid Live wrap-up. That'll be 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race at Martinsville Speedway. And on Monday, we've got the Grid Live Encore as well with Ben and Brandon at the helm. Okay, that's it. About done here then for tonight's show. You can don't forget to follow us on social media as well. We're all over that as well. TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn now. You can watch the show. Big hello to everyone who's watching there as well as we get that started back up. And also a big thank you to our Patreon supporters as well. Colin, Mark, Deshelle and Robin as well. Always for keeping us going here on the broadcast. And of course, you can click on the link below to join our Patreon or buy me a coffee. I think we all need it at this early stage in the morning for me as well, and for a one-time donation as well. Also use public.com to invest in the stock market. Use the code GRIDnet to earn free stocks, get started, and utilize the stock market for your own personal investments. For Kobe Lambeth at the podium finish, I'm Joshua Birch. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.